Curtain, get out of here. Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about a touchy subject with some people, but I figured I would like to share my experience with this kind of situation because I know it's a very hard thing to deal with. I think sharing my experience would help others, deal with their situation. I'm going to be talking about OCD, otherwise known as obsessive compulsive disorder. I was diagnosed with OCD when I was, I think, 16. OCD is a mental disorder that pertains to intrusive thoughts, which anxiety can occur from if you don't perform a compulsion to get rid of the intrusive thought. Okay, so let me explain that a little bit. I'll talk about my situation. So I had intrusive thoughts about human blood, like HIV and other diseases that are spread through human blood. That was one of my intrusive thoughts. I also have breaking the law as an intrusive thought, and I also have fire hazards as an intrusive thought. Now that may sound weird, but that's how some people are. When I first started really showing signs of OCD, it was after I had a relationship with somebody, and that kind of depression that I went into, I think, triggered it, because I also suffer from juvenile depression, and I also suffer from just general anxiety disorders that I do my best to just kind of take control over, stabilize. My first intrusive thoughts were HIV and other bloodborne diseases. Why this happened, I'm not really sure, but I remember the time when I first came in contact with somebody else's blood, and it was in the bathroom. I didn't think anything of it at first, but, I was in that depressive state, and then my mind was just kind of wandering, and then I'm like, that's when it began. I started begging. I was in a car ride. We were on our way back from Massachusetts. I live in New York, so it was like a few-hour drive. I started begging and begging and begging for them to stop somewhere so I could go wash my hands. I didn't even touch the blood, not at all, but I wanted to wash my hands. Finally went to the gas station for me to wash my hands, and I washed my hands 20-something times. And it didn't stop there. I kept getting these intrusive thoughts out of nowhere, just in like the middle of class, like when I was in high school, and I'd have to go to the bathroom and wash my hands. I wouldn't use the public restrooms. I would hold it in all day until I got home. Nobody could touch my hands. Nobody could touch me. If like a friend of mine like touched me, I have to be like, you're not bleeding, right? You don't have a cut on your finger, right? I didn't scratch you. You're not bleeding, right? And it kind of spiraled out of control to the point where I was washing my hands about every 10 minutes. I literally washed all the skin off of my hands. It kind of caused me serious distress to the point where nobody could touch me. I couldn't, sleep over at a family member's house without worrying about it. I couldn't like touch anybody. I couldn't hold hands with somebody. I wasn't dating anybody at the time, but if I was, I wouldn't be able to hold their hand because it would upset me so much. We wanted to start somewhere, and I went to a therapist, and I wasn't comfortable enough talking to a complete stranger. So I stopped doing that. And even if I did talk about my problems, it would just make me think about them more, and it would just make the situation worse. I went to a regular doctor, and I got put on 25 milligrams of citalopram, which is a generic of Prozac. I was taking that for a while, and it definitely helped. The hand washing definitely reduced, but then new intrusive thoughts started to come about. I started to become a serious checker. And this is where the fire hazard thing came in. Before I would go to bed, I would run downstairs, up and down the stairs numerous times, because no matter how many times I checked, I was not reassured that everything was turned off. I would check the stove, the oven, make sure the microwave was unplugged, make sure the toaster oven was unplugged, make sure the dryer downstairs was off. It wouldn't just be once I would do this all. It would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a night. Basically, my heart would be doing this because I was so scared to go to sleep that I was worried something was going to catch on fire. I would check outlets, make sure plugs were either in all the way or out completely. I would make sure that they weren't loose or jiggly. This caused me to get really bad insomnia to the point where I would go nights without sleeping. I was a high school student, so sleep was kind of important at the time. I just couldn't sleep. So I went back to the doctor, and my hands, I was still having a little bit of the hand washing thing, but it was definitely not as bad. And they bumped me up to 40 milligrams of citalopram. And that is what I'm currently on today. The checking thing, I still check sometimes, but it's not 6, 7, 8 times a night. It's more like once or twice. Sometimes not at all. I have a trick where I will make sure I'm the first one to go to bed. And if I'm the first one to go to bed, I won't worry about it. It's strange, I know. I still check outlets, but very, very, very rarely. Also, I've developed this new intrusive thought, which is the law-breaking one, but it particularly pertains to driving. It's kind of stable right now, but it still happens a lot. When I'm driving, if I look in my rearview mirror or my mirrors, or if I'm just driving and I hit a little bump, I will convince myself that I hit someone. And I will have to turn my car around, and drive past this place once or twice to make sure. And this is still happening. I don't really tell anybody about this because if somebody else is riding in the car with me, I don't worry about it. But if I'm driving alone, it bothers me. The thing that doesn't help is that the suspension system in my car is a little wonky. So when I hit a bump, it kind of makes a loud noise. I'm like, what's that? And I keep telling myself, Mariah, you were looking at the road. You were watching the road. You were doing what you were supposed to do. But that intrusive thought would just keep punching me in the head saying, you need to turn around and check or you're going to jail. I'm like, when I'm having a really good day, it gets worse because I'm like, I don't want anything to ruin my good day. If I'm having a good day and I get an impulsion like that, I do it to make myself happy. This is kind of something that's on and off with me. I used to go to Morrisville State College, obviously. I don't go there anymore. And that's a 2-hour drive. Every single time I would drive there, I would have to turn around at least once because the roads are terrible. And I would hit a bump like every 5 feet. And if I even looked in my rearview mirror because you're supposed to check your rearview mirror every once in a while, and I hit a bump while I was doing that, I would freak out and have to turn around. As crazy as that makes me sound, that is the only real problem with my OCD that I'm still suffering from. If you don't really understand what OCD is, I hope my story helps you understand better. It's not about being a neat freak, because I'm a slut. I'm in my room right now, there's clothes everywhere, the bed's not made, all my drawers in my desk are open, I don't even have handles on my drawers on my desk. You know, there's just stuff piled on top of my laptop. It's nothing about just being a neat freak. Personal cleanliness, yeah, I'm a little freaky about that. I shower every day, but you kind of should shower every day because, BO is, not okay. What really stands out about OCD is that it's your own body that is causing you this distress. It is not somebody else. It's like you're bullying yourself. That's a good way to describe it. I've been bullied a lot in high school, so I can understand. This is 10 times worse. This is not fun because it's your own brain that is just slapping you in the face saying, you need to do this or I'm going to make your life a living hell. Right now, my OCD is very well managed, other than the driving thing, which I am working on with myself. I don't want to go up in medication. I really, really don't. My nose is itchy. I hope that people now understand how hard OCD really is. I don't really hear a lot about people with OCD getting discriminated, but I know people like kind of make it a joke. And I don't want to be one of those people that's offended by everything, but when people say, oh, I'm so OCD, I just gotta organize everything, I'm like, girl, you are not OCD. You have no idea what a living hell OCD can be. And there are people who have it a lot worse than I do. With the additional juvenile depression that I had and the regular anxiety issues that I had, you know, especially when I was a little kid, I'm sure I did suffer from my OCD problems when I was a little kid, and I just didn't know it because I thought it was normal. When I was a little kid, now you gotta remember this, you know, little kids have like this huge imagination, and I was afraid that if I touched an old lady, like if she just brushed up against me, or if I like bumped into like an old lady, I would turn into an old lady, and it freaked me out. My compulsion was to stay the hell away from old people. That was when I was in like first grade. That's all I can really remember. And I know my brothers kind of like had to talk me out of it and say, dude, you know, like if you touch a grizzly bear, you're not gonna turn into a grizzly bear, you know? And all I needed was him to say that for me to forget about it. You know, it's really hard. And I know a lot of people have it a lot worse than I do, but I figured if I share my story with you guys, you know, you kind of get a better understanding of who I am and my problems, because I am hard to deal with. Like, it's ruined a lot of relationships I've had with people. I've lost friends, I've lost, you know, boyfriends. I've only dated X amount of people, but, you know, things like that. It's really, really screwed up a lot of relationships I had, and it makes work hard. I worked in food service, and I got really OCD about the cleanliness of the food. Like, I'd change my gloves every 2 minutes, which you're kind of supposed to do, but even if I didn't even touch any food or anything with those gloves on, I'd have to change them. And I sound like a basic girl saying, oh my god, I'm so OCD, but that's just kind of the way I describe it. My current compulsion right now, like I said, is the driving thing. I don't really have the hand-washing urge anymore. I'm actually able to be around my horses much more now than I was back when I was 16 years old. I'm 21 now. You know, it's nice to actually know that you can improve from something like this. With me, it was medication, but, you know, with other people, it could be something completely different. It could be therapy. It could be just doing other activities to get your mind off of it, which I will say does help. I started exercising a lot when I put all the weight back on when I was in college, but I lost like 35 pounds, and I put on all that and then some when I went to college, so I'm like 200 pounds, 205 pounds now. I don't look it, but I am. And, you know, that kind of thing bothered me a little bit. I did have a little bit of an eating disorder issue, which was kind of associated with my OCD at the beginning of college. And I was a little bulimic, and I really regret that now because now I have a lot of problems with my teeth. I'm probably gonna need to get my teeth fixed. Not all of them, but I definitely weakened the ones in the back. So that's something I also have to deal with as a result of my mental issues. But regardless of that, me as a person, I still think I'm a great person. Some people don't want to give me a chance because they hear about these horror stories of me being freaking crazy, and they don't want to be friends with me, you know, they don't want to date me, they don't want to, you know, things like that, just really stupid things like that. People with OCD are actually, you know, they're actually really great people. It's just, you gotta understand that their brain is bullying themselves. You know, they have to deal with this stuff every day, and it's a lot to deal with. If you know somebody who's OCD, just go up to them and tell them that you love them and you understand, because that is, reassurance is the number one thing that somebody with OCD really, really, really needs. I wish I had more reassurance from my loved ones when I started getting really bad OCD, but the problem is they just didn't know, because I wouldn't tell anybody. I went months and months and months without telling my mother that I was having a problem. She knew I had an anxiety issue, but when it came to the compulsions and the compulsive activities, She didn't know. I'm good at hiding that. So if you think that someone you love or someone you know or one of your friends has OCD, just, if you ask them, they'll probably tell you. But again, I haven't had that experience, so I don't know. That's all I have really to talk about OCD. I wanted to talk about my experience with it and how I manage it. And hopefully this video will, give someone the confidence to either tell someone that they're having a problem or give somebody with OCD a chance, or, just kind of help somebody better understand what this mental disorder really does to you. Because I will say it is horrific. It can be really horrific in some situations. So this video is all serious and themed. I thought it was just important to post. I'm gonna go drink some more coffee because I need to wake up.